Welcome to tonight's episode, The Last Train Home. As we settle in together for this special journey, I invite you to share in the comments where in the world you are tuning in from, whether you're nestled in a cozy apartment in Paris, relaxing by the coast in Sydney, or listening under the city lights of New York. Your presence adds warmth and connection to our shared experience. Now let us begin. Please take a moment to find a comfortable position, whether you're lying down, sitting back, or wrapped in your favorite blanket. Allow yourself to sink into the support beneath you, releasing any tension you may be carrying. As you listen to tonight's story, imagine each word gently washing over you, soothing your mind and easing away the stress of the day. With every breath, feel your worries melt away, replaced by a sense of calm and tranquility. Let your thoughts drift as we embark on this peaceful journey together, allowing your mind to unwind and your spirit to rest. Chapter 1. The Quiet Platform. The evening station stood quiet and still, bathed in the soft, flickering glow of lanterns hanging from rusted iron posts along the platform. Their warm light pooled gently on the wet cobblestones, shimmering with reflected rain and casting an almost dreamlike hue over the scene. The steady drizzle tapped softly against stone and metal, creating a rhythmic pattern that seemed to echo the heartbeat of the quiet town. Beyond the platform, the distant hum of the train's engine hissed softly, a lullaby of sorts, waiting patiently for departure. Edmund stood at the edge of the platform, his coat drawn tightly around him, eyes fixed on the train that shimmered faintly in the gloom. The air was thick with the scent of rain, fresh, earthy, tinged with nostalgia that seemed to seep from the stones beneath his feet. Once a bustling hub, the station now felt like a relic of a bygone era, its empty benches and silent tracks whispering stories of days long past. He took a slow breath, feeling the cool dampness fill his lungs, and allowed himself a moment to absorb the scene. This quiet, almost sacred space marked the threshold of his journey, a place where memories lingered in every shadow and flickering lantern. As he looked around, he noted remnants of the station's former vibrancy, faded signs, a broken clock face frozen at a bygone hour, and the faint scent of wood smoke lingering in the air. The rhythmic patter of rain created a soothing backdrop, blending seamlessly with the distant whistle of the approaching train, signaling that it was time. His heart pounded with anticipation and trepidation, each beat echoing the silent question he had carried for years. Was he truly ready to step back into the past, to face the ghosts and memories awaiting him? The station, in its quiet solitude, seemed to hold its breath, bearing witness to this pivotal moment. The start of a journey not just across miles, but into the depths of his own soul. Standing on the damp, uneven cobblestones, a wave of memories washed over him. The years had slipped away like shadows in fading light, leaving behind a tapestry woven with faces long gone from his mind, but still vivid in his heart. He thought of friends he once shared laughter with, names now like whispers, George, who told stories by the fire, and Lily, whose smile could brighten even the gloomiest days. They seemed distant, yet in this moment, their echoes felt close enough to touch. He looked around at the station's remnants, an old sign swinging gently in the breeze, a rusted water pump that hadn't worked in years, the platform slightly cracked and overgrown with weeds. The lanterns flickered softly, casting a warm amber glow that contrasted with the cold drizzle falling steadily from the gray sky. The rain's rhythmic patter created a hypnotic backdrop, blending with the distant hissing of the train engine, a sound once symbolizing adventure and escape, now a comforting reminder of journeys past. His gaze drifted to the wet tracks stretching ahead into darkness. Each drop of rain felt like a tiny reminder of missed opportunities, roads not taken, and dreams quietly fading with time. "Why did I stay away so long?" he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. The question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken regrets and lingering longing. Amid these shadows of regret, flashes of warmth flickered in his mind. Moments of kindness from strangers, childhood laughter, the embrace of family that once made him feel safe. Memories of his mother's gentle voice urging him to find his way home, and youthful ambitions that once burned brightly, now dimmed, but never entirely extinguished. These recollections shimmered like distant stars, guiding him through the darkness of his thoughts. In quiet solitude, Edmund felt a mixture of longing and fragile hope. This moment, on the cusp of departure, was more than a physical crossing. It was a pilgrimage into the depths of his soul, a chance to reconnect with the past and perhaps find some measure of peace. As the rain continued to fall, he took a deep breath, feeling the cool, damp air fill his lungs, and prepared to step into the unknown, carrying the weight and wonder of everything that had come before. The train's mournful whistle sliced through the damp evening air, its echo softly reverberating across the deserted platform. It was a sound both familiar and distant, like a call from a long-gone past that never quite faded. Edmund paused at the edge of the platform, feeling the cool dampness seep through his coat, tiny droplets of rain clinging to his skin. His heart pounded with anticipation and trepidation, each beat heavy with the decision he had made. Taking a steadying breath, he stepped forward. Every footfall felt heavy, yet purposeful, marking not just the start of a journey across miles, but a passage through his memories. The words of his mother drifted into his mind. "Every road home is worth the walk." He whispered them softly, feeling the comfort they brought mingle with a bittersweet ache. That phrase had sustained him through years of wandering, moments of doubt and longing. He moved toward the waiting train, its old wooden carriage shimmering faintly in the lantern light. The door creaked open with a gentle protest as he pushed it aside and stepped inside. The scent of coal smoke and rain lingered in the air, grounding him in this moment of transition. Settling into a seat near the window, he felt the familiar creak of leather against his back, a comforting reminder of journeys past. Outside, the rain continued to fall, blurring the landscape into a watercolor wash of muted greens and browns. The station's flickering lanterns cast long shadows across wet cobblestones, their glow flickering like ghosts of memories long faded. Edmund's gaze lingered on the rain-streaked glass, watching the world outside dissolve into a hazy swirl of colors. The rhythmic clatter of the wheels beneath him began to lull his thoughts, pulling him into a quiet, reflective state. At this start of his journey, he understood it was more than a physical voyage. It was a pilgrimage through the depths of his life, through moments of joy and regret, hope and longing. With each turn of the wheel, he moved closer to the home he had left behind, yet also toward a reconnection with parts of himself long buried. As the landscape blurred into darkness, a quiet resolve settled within him, ready to face whatever awaited at the end of the line. Chapter 2. The First Carriage. With each mile, the train carried him forward. The outside landscape dissolved into a watercolor of rolling green fields, distant hills, and occasional bursts of sunlight breaking through clouds. Edmund's gaze was fixed on the window, watching the scenery blur into streaks of color, fragments of memories. The rhythmic clatter of wheels against tracks became a steady heartbeat, a gentle reminder of both the passage of time and the journey he was on, not just through space, but through his own history. He felt as though he was floating, suspended between past moments and those yet to come. Time is a curious thing, he murmured softly, almost to himself. It bends and warps, conjuring memories as easily as it erases them. His voice was barely above a whisper, yet it carried the weight of years of reflection. Outside, the fields stretched endlessly, a tapestry woven with threads of his past. Summer days by the seaside in 1952. The laughter of friends echoing through the years. Quiet farewells at stations long gone. The gentle sway of the train seemed to mirror the ebb and flow of his thoughts, lulling him into contemplation. Each passing scene was a chapter from his life, moments of joy, regret, hope, and loss, flickering like photographs in a dusty album. Every choice, every missed chance, he mused. Like the stations we pass, they remain behind us, yet they linger in the air, heavy with what-ifs. Memories pressed upon him with tenderness that was almost painful, yet somehow comforting. He recalled friends lost to time, names now faint echoes, faces blurred, loves that faded into the background of a busy life, unfinished stories. The decisions that brought him here, some deliberate, others accidental, each shaping who he had become. How many opportunities slipped through my fingers like sand, he whispered, a faint smile touching his lips as the countryside rolled past. The train's rhythm seemed to synchronize with his heartbeat, steady and relentless. Outside, more trees, a distant river, a lone farmstead. Each scene, a reminder of the life he once knew intimately. Yet amid the blur of the outside world, inside him stirred a quiet clarity. This journey was more than a return home. It was a voyage into his memories, a chance to revisit moments that defined him. As the scenery drifted by, a gentle sense of acceptance settled over him. The past was part of him, imprinted in every line on his face, in the tremor of his voice, in the ache of longing. Perhaps, he thought, this journey isn't just about reaching home, but about understanding what I've carried all these years. Leaning back, he allowed himself to be carried by the train, the memories, and the unspoken hope that somewhere ahead all these pieces might finally come together. Edmund sank deeper into the worn leather seat, feeling the comforting weight of the journey settle around him like an old, familiar blanket. The carriage was dimly lit, shadows dancing softly along polished wood panels. The gentle murmur of conversation and rhythmic clatter of wheels created a soothing symphony. Outside, rain tapped softly against the windows, blending with the faint scent of coal smoke, a scent that instantly transported him back to countless journeys of his youth. It was as if the train carried not just passengers, but memories wrapped in a familiar aroma, stirring long-buried moments. His fingers brushed against the coarse fabric of his satchel, and with slow, deliberate movements, he pulled out an old train ticket stub. The edges were frayed and yellowed with age, a fragile relic from a bygone era. Seeing it made his chest tighten, a sudden jolt of recognition flickering through him, an almost ghostly reminder of adventures long past. "Isn't it curious," he murmured softly, "how something so small can hold so much?" The ticket, with its faded print and creased surface, seemed to pulse with the light of forgotten journeys. It was a tiny vessel of memory, stories of summer trips to the seaside with his family, laughter shared with friends on sun-drenched afternoons, bittersweet farewells at train stations marking chapters of his life. He studied the stub longer, eyes tracing the worn edges as if trying to piece together the stories woven into its fibers. "How many opportunities," he wondered aloud, "slipped through my fingers like sand." The words mingled with the scent of rain and coal as he drifted into remembrance. The stub was more than paper. It was a portal to days when hope felt limitless and the future stretched before him like an open road. Each line, each faded print, whispered tales of roads not taken, dreams deferred, youthful optimism still flickering faintly. Holding the ticket, a gentle smile touched his lips, nostalgic, quiet. In that small fragment of paper, he found a universe of memories, some bright and joyful, others tinged with regret. All of them, he realized, were part of the fabric that made him who he was. As the train continued its steady roll toward the unknown, Edmund felt a renewed connection to the past, an acknowledgement that every journey, no matter how distant or fleeting, leaves its mark, shaping the path ahead. The train's wheels picked up a gentle, rhythmic clatter, and the outside world blurred into a tapestry of green fields and distant hills, each fleeting scene whispering of memories long tucked away. Edmund leaned back, feeling the subtle sway of the carriage cradle him like a familiar lullaby. The motion was soothing, almost hypnotic, inviting him to drift through time, to revisit moments long gone but never truly lost. He watched as the landscape unfolded, rows of wheat shimmering beneath a gray sky, a solitary barn standing silent against the horizon, a cluster of trees rooted in eternity. The scenery softened into a watercolor painting, edges blending seamlessly. Outside, rustling leaves and distant birdsong created a quiet symphony. But inside, a different rhythm took hold, the steady thrum of the wheels, a heartbeat echoing within him. "Time is a curious thing," he murmured softly, almost to himself. His voice was barely above a whisper, but carried a weight that filled the carriage. It bends and warps, conjuring memories as easily as it erases them. The train's repetitive clatter became a metronome, marking moments slipping past, moments of joy, regret, longing. Each mile felt like a step further from the present, yet closer to the past he carried inside. He thought of long-lost friends, names etched in his mind, faces blurred by time but still vivid. Loves faded into the background, their voices echoes in his mind's corridors. Every decision, missed chance, flickered past like the stations they passed, markers of a life lived and left behind. Like the stations we pass, he mused, they remain behind, yet they linger in the air, heavy with what-ifs. The landscape outside continued its slow procession, each scene stirring quiet nostalgia. Fields, hills, distant farms, all whispering stories of a simpler time. The train's steady motion was a balm, a reminder that life, like this journey, was a series of transitions, some smooth, some jarring. As he watched the world drift by, Edmund felt the pull of memories, drawing him back to moments of innocence and hope buried beneath years of weight. In that quiet, rhythmic motion, he found comfort, a sense that no matter how far he traveled or how much time passed, part of him would always remain tethered to these fleeting scenes, these fragments of a life that shaped him. With each passing mile, he learned that the journey wasn't just about reaching a destination. It was about embracing the memories that made him who he was. Chapter 3. The Sketching Stranger. The train swayed gently along the tracks, its rhythmic clatter creating a soothing backdrop to the soft hum of the carriage. Edmund's gaze drifted across the compartment, settling on the young woman seated opposite him. She was absorbed in her sketchbook, her slender fingers guiding the pencil with practiced ease that spoke of years of dedication. Outside the window, the night sky shimmered with flickering stars, their faint glow spilling into the carriage and illuminating her focused face and the delicate lines she traced on the paper. Her eyes sparkled with concentration, cheeks slightly flushed from the effort. The soft light caught the edges of her hair, casting a gentle halo. In that moment, she reminded Edmund of Clara, his childhood friend, who once sat beside him on similar journeys, her eyes alight with dreams of becoming an artist. Clara had a way of losing herself in her sketches, her pencil dancing across the paper as if trying to capture the universe itself. Memories flooded him. Laughter, shared secrets under the vast night sky, promises made beneath the stars. He cleared his throat softly, breaking the peaceful silence. "What are you drawing?" His voice was gentle, tinged with curiosity and a hint of nostalgia he couldn't quite suppress. She looked up, her smile warm and inviting. "I'm sketching the constellations I've seen while traveling," she replied, her tone light yet earnest. "I love how the stars seem to tell stories, don't you?" Her words hung in the air, simple but meaningful, like a secret shared between kindred spirits. Edmund's eyes lingered on her, feeling a strange kinship. He nodded slowly, recalling nights lying on grassy fields with Clara, her head resting on his shoulder as they gazed upward, imagining worlds beyond their reach. "Yes," he said softly. "They do. I used to believe each star had its own tale, just waiting to be discovered." His voice trailed off, lost in the memory of those carefree nights, childhood dreams still flickering in his mind. Their conversation flowed naturally, as if they had known each other for years. She shared her desire to see the world, to capture its beauty through her art. "I want to go everywhere," she said, eyes shining with enthusiasm. "To feel the stories the stars whisper, to understand what makes each place special." Her words stirred something deep within Edmund, a mixture of admiration and a faint ache of longing. He remembered his own youthful ambitions, once vibrant but now dulled by the weight of years and responsibilities. He hesitated, then softly murmured, "Clara wanted to be an artist too. We used to dream about traveling, about capturing the world's wonders." His voice caught slightly, revealing the emotion beneath his calm exterior. "She moved away before we could chase those dreams together. I often wonder what she's doing now. If she ever followed her own stars." The young woman tilted her head, her eyes curious. "What happened to her?" she asked gently, sensing the unspoken story behind his words. Edmund paused, memories rushing back, laughter ringing through the air, promises under the vast night sky, the inevitable parting that life demanded. Life took her on a different path, he finally said, his voice thick with bittersweet nostalgia. But I still think of her sometimes, wonder if she's out there, still chasing her dreams. The silence that followed was filled with unspoken understanding, a shared acknowledgement of dreams deferred and memories cherished. Outside, the stars continued their silent vigil, witnesses to the quiet connection forming between two strangers on a train. Inside, Edmund felt a gentle warmth, an affirmation that despite the years and miles, some dreams and memories remain timeless, waiting to be rediscovered in moments like these. As they continued their quiet conversation, the young woman's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "I want to see everything, the whole world, every starry sky," she said softly, her voice filled with reverence. She paused, gazing out the window at the darkening landscape, then added, "I want to capture the beauty I find in those places, to put it into my sketches. That's why I travel, why I keep my sketchbook close." Her fingers absent-mindedly traced the edge of her notebook, as if holding on to the dreams she poured into each page. Edmund listened, feeling a strange tug in his chest. Her words stirred memories of a time long past when his own ambitions burned brightly, unshadowed by the weight of years. He thought of Clara, his childhood friend, who had once dreamed of becoming an artist too. They had spent countless nights lying side by side on grassy fields outside their small town, gazing up at the sky and dreaming of futures filled with art and adventure. He could still see her face, illuminated by fireflies, her eyes reflecting the stars she loved so much. A quiet smile touched his lips as he murmured, "Clara." She wanted to be an artist too. "We used to talk about traveling the world, chasing sunsets and capturing constellations." His voice drifted into the gentle hum of the train, carrying memories that felt both distant and vivid. But life took her away before we could make those dreams come true. The young woman tilted her head, curiosity shining in her eyes. What happened to her? Did she ever follow her dreams? Edmund hesitated, the ache of unspoken stories pressing against his chest. "She moved away," he finally said, his voice tinged with nostalgia. "Left town for a city, maybe to pursue her art. I've always wondered if she's still out there, chasing her stars, or if she gave up somewhere along the way." His gaze fell to his hands, loosely clasped in his lap. "Sometimes I wonder what she's doing now, if she's still drawing, still dreaming." A silence stretched between them, thick with the weight of unfulfilled ambitions and the passage of years. The rhythmic clatter of the train seemed to echo those memories, vivid, persistent, impossible to silence. The shared understanding lingered, binding them in a quiet acknowledgement of dreams lost and hopes deferred. In that moment, the connection was more than just two strangers on a journey. It became a bridge across time, a reminder that even distant dreams can remain, waiting patiently to be rediscovered. Edmund's gaze returned to the young woman across from him, her attention absorbed in her sketchbook. The faint glow of the carriage's dim lights reflected softly off the pages, casting a gentle sheen on her delicate hand as her pencil moved with quiet purpose. Outside, stars shimmered faintly, their light flickering like whispers from another world. Her brow was furrowed in concentration, yet her eyes sparkled with quiet wonder,
reminding him of a childhood friend he hadn't seen in decades.
Clara. How often they had sat beneath the open sky, dreaming of adventures and sketching constellations with their fingers in the dirt. He cleared his throat softly, breaking the silence. "What are you drawing?" he asked, his voice gentle but curious. She looked up, a small smile curling her lips. "I'm sketching the constellations I've seen while traveling," she replied, her tone light and inviting. "I love how the stars seem to tell stories, don't you?" Her words stirred something deep within him. Memories flooded his mind, long nights lying on the grassy hill behind his childhood home, eyes fixed on the sky, sharing dreams with Clara about leaving their small town and seeing the world beyond. He remembered the countless evenings tracing Orion and Cassiopeia in the dark, imagining adventures in distant lands. "Yes," he said softly, a wistful smile on his face. "They do. I used to believe each star had its own tale, just waiting to be discovered." The conversation flowed effortlessly, as if reconnecting with an old friend. They exchanged thoughts on the night sky's beauty and its silent stories whispering across the universe. She shared her desire to travel the world, to see places that would inspire her art, to feel the stories that the stars whisper, she said, eyes shining with enthusiasm. Edmund felt a pang of envy, longing for the innocence and boundless dreams of youth. He remembered his own aspirations, once vibrant and full of promise, now dulled by the weight of years. He murmured almost to himself, Clara wanted to be an artist too. Moved away before we could chase those dreams together. The young woman tilted her head, curiosity in her eyes. "What happened to her?" she asked softly. Edmund hesitated, memories surfacing like a rising tide he couldn't control. Days filled with laughter, promises under the stars, and then the inevitable parting. Life's relentless march that pulled them apart. "Life took her on a different path," he finally answered, his voice thick with bittersweet nostalgia. "I often wonder what she's doing now, if she's still chasing her dreams." The air between them grew tender, filled with unspoken understanding. Outside, the stars continued their silent vigil, witnesses to stories both told and untold. Their shared reflections bridged the vast expanse of time, two souls connected by the enduring hope of dreams, now woven into the fabric of the present. In that quiet moment, Edmund felt a gentle reassurance. Even across years and miles, some connections remain unbroken, shining as steadily as the stars they both loved to watch. Chapter 4. The Couple with Tea. The train's gentle sway seemed to slow time as the door slid open with a soft hiss. An elderly couple stepped inside, their presence immediately warming the dimly lit carriage like a crackling fire on a cold evening. The man, with a twinkle in his eye and a deliberate gait, carried a small thermos of steaming tea. The woman, with a cheerful smile, followed closely, balancing a tin of biscuits in her hands. "There's always enough to go around," she announced with a bright laugh, setting the tin on the small table between them. Her voice carried a warmth that seemed to fill the space, making the shadows in the carriage less daunting. The man chuckled softly, pouring hot tea into mismatched cups, one chipped, the other plain but cherished, his hands steady despite the years etched into his face. "Indeed," he said softly, a gentle smile curling at his lips. "Sharing a cup makes the world a little brighter." His voice was calm, seasoned with quiet wisdom that spoke of countless shared mornings and quiet evenings. As he handed her a cup, their fingers brushed briefly, a tender gesture that conveyed familiarity and comfort. Edmund watched them with quiet admiration, feeling their camaraderie seep into his bones. Their laughter was infectious, a melodic echo of simpler times. He was transported to memories of his own parents, mornings when his mother's gentle laughter mingled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, and his father's stories flowed freely over the clink of cups and plates. He could almost hear her teasing voice, recounting how they got lost on a hike in 1967 near the old mill by the river, and how they had laughed until tears blurred their vision. Their banter was playful, a dance of words and shared history. "Remember that hike?" the woman asked, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Her voice was nostalgic but amused, as if reliving that adventure. "Oh, lost? I prefer to think of it as an unplanned detour," the man replied, grinning. "It was an adventure. We found that little clearing with the wildflowers. Remember? You picked a bunch for your mother." His voice softened at the memory, and the line between past and present blurred for Edmund, who felt a pang of longing swell within him. He watched them, feeling the ache of longing for days gone by, family dinners, shared stories, the simple act of sitting together and feeling truly connected. Their affection and ease reminded him of a time when love was straightforward, unburdened by years and loss. Their connection was a testament to the enduring power of shared moments, a quiet reminder that some bonds remain unbroken even as time slips away. As they sipped their tea and exchanged stories, Edmund leaned back into his seat, a soft smile on his lips. The warmth of their companionship resonated deeply within him, stirring memories of his own family's love, how it shaped and sustained him, and offering a glimpse of the comfort he longed to rediscover. The couple's conversation drifted into nostalgia about small adventures. The woman leaned forward slightly and asked, "Remember that hike at Maple Ridge? Nearly 20 years ago." Her eyes sparkled with mischief, her voice adding a cozy warmth to the carriage. The man chuckled, a deep, genuine sound. "Lost? I prefer to think of it as an unplanned adventure," he said, reaching for the tin of biscuits and offering her one. "We wandered through those woods for hours trying to find our way back. It was one of our best days. No plans, just us, discovering something new right in our backyard." Edmund watched them with a quiet smile, feeling a tender, bittersweet flicker. Their easy camaraderie reminded him of his parents, sharing stories over steaming cups of tea, laughter filling the room. He could almost hear his mother's gentle laugh, teasing his father about their misadventures. The memory was vivid, her saying, "Every wrong turn leads to a better story," her eyes twinkling with mischief. He took a slow breath, feeling the ache of longing settle deep within him. Those moments, the shared laughter, small adventures, quiet companionship, seemed just beyond reach now. Yet watching the couple, he sensed those bonds, those sparks of love and connection, never truly faded. They lingered in stories told over tea, in shared glances and gentle touches that spoke of a lifetime of understanding. "Sometimes," the woman said softly, "the best adventures are the ones we don't plan. Uncharted paths often turn out to be the most memorable." Her words resonated with Edmund, stirring memories of evenings around his family's dinner table, where stories flowed as freely as wine and love was woven into every word. He leaned back, feeling a quiet comfort in their presence. Their simple joy and shared history echoed his own longing for connection, reminding him that despite the years and distances, the bonds of love and family remain alive in the stories we carry and the memories we cherish. As the countryside blurred past the window, Edmund felt a gentle reassurance. No matter how much time passes, love and belonging endure, waiting to be rediscovered. The cheerful chatter between the elderly couple gradually softened into a contemplative silence. The clink of cups and the faint rustle of the biscuit tin were the only sounds now. Edmund watched them with admiration, noticing the tenderness in their gestures and the shared understanding in their eyes. Their love, seemingly enduring countless seasons, remained vibrant, a quiet testament to the enduring power of companionship. He found himself lost in thought, recalling relationships he had cherished and lost over the years, the laughter of friends long gone, the warmth of family gatherings now distant memories, each a fragment of a life lived. He remembered a childhood summer afternoon, perhaps 10 or 11, when he and his sister wandered through fields behind their home, chasing butterflies and dreaming of the futures they imagined. Those days felt innocent and full of promise, yet now they seemed like echoes from another lifetime. The couple's banter about a long-ago hike brought a bittersweet smile. "Remember near the old mill?" the woman asked, her voice light. "Lost? I prefer to think of it as an adventure," the man replied, chuckling. Their genuine laughter stirred a pang in Edmund's chest. It was a reminder of days when his family shared stories around the kitchen table, the aroma of baking bread filling the air, voices rising and falling in animated exchanges. He could almost taste the jam his mother spread on fresh bread, smell the faint scent of wood smoke, and hear his father's hearty laugh teasing his wife. He leaned back, eyes on the passing landscape, green fields, distant hills, and the occasional farmhouse bathed in the golden glow of sunset. Even in the absence of those we've lost, he thought, the essence of family remains, woven into the fabric of our lives. This realization settled warmly within him, a quiet reassurance that love and memory persist beyond time and loss. As the train continued its steady rhythm, Edmund felt a renewed sense of belonging. The couple's stories and silent understanding reminded him that, despite the years and distances, the ties that bind us are never truly broken. They are carried in the heart, alive in moments like these, shimmering softly amid the quiet hum of the train passing through the night. Chapter 5. The Letter in the Satchel. Edmund's hands moved slowly through the familiar clutter of his satchel, feeling the worn, soft fabric yield beneath his fingertips. Outside, the night deepened, shadows flickering against the carriage walls as the rhythmic sway of the train lulled him into quiet reverie. His eyes drifted over crumpled receipts, a faded map with creased edges, and a handful of small, forgotten trinkets, tokens from journeys long past. Amid these relics, something unexpected caught his attention. A folded piece of paper, yellowed with age, tucked carefully beneath a stack of old letters. His heart quickened. "What is this?" he murmured softly, surprised by the discovery. Carefully, he reached in and grasped the envelope, feeling the rough texture of the paper and the trembling weight of memory. The handwriting on the front was in a younger, more confident hand, bold, unsteady, yet unmistakably his own. The ink had faded over the years, but its presence still carried a certain strength, a stark contrast to the uncertain journey he now faced. With deliberate care, Edmund unfolded the fragile paper. The crackle of the brittle edges sounded like a whisper in the stillness of the carriage. As he read, the words leapt from the page, stirring echoes of a past he had long buried. "Keep going. The journey isn't finished," it read, each letter a gentle reminder of the resilience he once knew. The phrase resonated deeply, igniting a flicker of courage he thought had dimmed with time. The message seemed to reach across the years, anchoring him to a version of himself that believed in hope and perseverance. He paused, eyes fixed on the faded ink, allowing the words to settle within him. That simple sentence, so ordinary yet profound, held a universe of meaning. It was a nudge from his younger self, urging him onward, reminding him that even in uncertainty, strength to continue remained. In that quiet moment, amid the gentle sway of the train and shadows cast by flickering lanterns, Edmund felt a renewed sense of purpose stirring within. The past and present intertwined, whispering that his journey was far from over, that the road ahead still held promise, waiting to be discovered. His fingers moved through the worn fabric of his satchel, feeling the familiar textures of old receipts, a crumpled map, and small, forgotten trinkets that had accompanied him on many journeys. The carriage was quiet now, shadows flickering softly against the wood-paneled walls as the train swayed through the night. The rhythmic clatter of wheels against tracks echoed in his mind, a steady heartbeat of the journey he was on. As he reached deeper, his hand brushed against something unexpected, folded and soft, yet slightly crinkled with age. His brow furrowed in curiosity. Carefully, he pulled out a yellowed envelope, its edges frayed from years of handling. The paper felt fragile, almost delicate, as if it might crumble at his touch. His heart fluttered uncertainly. "What is this?" he murmured softly, a mixture of surprise and curiosity stirring within him. He unfolded the fragile paper, the crackling breaking the carriage's stillness. The ink was faded but still legible, and the handwriting, more confident, more certain, belonged to a younger version of himself. His name, written in bold strokes, contrasted sharply with his current uncertainty about this journey. As he read, the words seemed to leap from the page, stirring echoes of a time long past. "Keep going. The journey isn't finished," it read. The simple phrase resonated deeply, like a gentle whisper from a part of himself he had almost forgotten. Each word was a reminder of the strength he once possessed, quietly waning over the years, buried beneath regret and routine. He held the letter delicately, as if afraid it might crumble further, and traced the lines of ink. The faded but persistent message echoed in his mind. This was more than a note. It was a testament to resilience, hope, and the unyielding spirit that had carried him through difficult times. It was a message from his past self, urging him to persevere, to remember that even in doubt, he had the power to continue. Outside the window, night deepened, the landscape slipping into shadow and silver. Within him, a flicker of warmth ignited. The letter reminded him of a moment, perhaps in 1965, when he faced a crossroads, uncertain whether to leave his small hometown or chase distant dreams. That younger Edmund had written these words during a dark period, feeling overwhelmed by challenges. "I was afraid then," he whispered, a faint smile touching his lips. "But I didn't let fear win." Seated in the quiet hum of the train, he felt a renewed kinship with that younger man. The lessons inked on that fragile paper, resilience born from hardship, hope's importance, and the belief that every journey, no matter how difficult, held significance. These truths had shaped him, even if he had momentarily forgotten them. He carefully refolded the letter and tucked it back into his satchel with reverence. "The journey isn't finished," he repeated softly, echoing the words that once gave him courage. As the train continued its steady glide through the night, Edmund leaned back in his seat, a gentle smile on his lips. In that quiet moment, he sensed a subtle but profound shift, an acknowledgement that the path ahead was still ripe with possibility, and that the strength to face it had been with him all along. Chapter 6. The Midnight Stop. Edmund settled onto the weathered wooden bench, the planks creaking softly beneath him. The moon hung high overhead, casting a silvery glow over the deserted rural station. The stillness of the night was profound, broken only by the gentle grind of the train's wheels coming to a halt. He reached out, fingers brushing the rough, time-worn surface of the bench, feeling the grooves and splinters that whispered silent stories of countless seasons past. For a moment he closed his eyes, allowing the cool evening air to mingle with memories rushing back. "How could it still be here?" he whispered softly, voice trembling with disbelief and longing. The scene before him was almost surreal. This same weathered bench, standing sentinel in the darkness, was where he had waited as a boy, nervously hopeful beneath the vast sky. He could almost hear echoes of laughter from long ago, the innocent joy of youth resonating in the stillness. Under the starlit sky, he and Clara had sat side by side, sharing dreams and secrets, their futures shimmering with promise. He remembered Clara's sparkling eyes when she talked about their plans, traveling to Paris, dancing in the rain in Venice, wandering markets in Marrakesh. "We were so young," he murmured, a bittersweet smile touching his lips. "Dreaming of a world we'd explore together, believing it was ours for the taking." The memory was vivid, her bright smile, her wild dreams, whispered promises beneath the stars. How simple everything seemed then, how infinite the possibilities. Decades later, he sat alone, carrying only the weight of unfulfilled hopes. The years had stretched long and quiet, filled with missed chances and silent regrets. Yet, in this moment, the past felt close, alive, through the act of sitting on that familiar bench. He imagined Clara beside him, her eyes alight with excitement, her voice soft but animated as she recounted their adventures. "Do you remember our plans?" she would ask, her words a gentle melody still dancing in his mind. The air grew thick with nostalgia, and he felt the gentle tug of time's relentless flow. The lines between then and now blurred like morning mist dissolving in the sun. These memories were not mere echoes, they were threads woven into the fabric of who he was. Every laugh, tear, and fleeting moment had shaped him, had made him the man sitting here now, on the cusp of a new journey. He opened his eyes slowly, gazing at the moonlit landscape beyond the station. The quiet power of recollection settled within him, reminding him that these memories were more than ghosts. They were guiding lights. Perhaps this journey isn't just about returning to a place, he thought softly, but about returning to who I am. The realization filled him with quiet strength. Time to reconcile with the past, accept the roads not taken, and carry those cherished moments forward.
Rising from the bench, Edmund felt a renewed sense of purpose stirring within.
The ghosts of his past had been acknowledged, their weight lifted, replaced by a gentle hope. With one last glance at the weathered wood, he turned toward the train, carrying the silent strength of memories transformed into resolve. As the train pulled away, he felt lighter, free to embrace whatever lay ahead, with an open heart and eager mind for the journey. The train's gentle halt at the deserted station felt almost sacred in the quiet night. The rhythmic grinding of the wheels slowed to a stop. Everything was still except for the whisper of the wind and the rustle of leaves. The moon hung low, casting a silvery glow over the landscape and illuminating the station with an ethereal light. The platform was empty except for one object, a weathered wooden bench, as if waiting there for decades, its darkened slats worn from years of rain and sun. Edmund stepped onto the platform, his footsteps muffled by damp gravel. He paused, eyes fixed on the bench, a jolt of recognition passing through him. There it was, exactly as he remembered from childhood. The sturdy slats, the slightly crooked backrest, the warping that told stories of countless seasons. His fingers brushed the rough surface, feeling the grain beneath, and nostalgia washed over him with surprising clarity. How could it still be here? He murmured softly, voice almost lost in the stillness. Disbelief mingled with tender longing, as if the bench carried the weight of all those years. The silence deepened, and in that quiet, he could almost hear echoes of laughter, whispered promises beneath stars. It was here, on this very spot, that he had waited, nervous, hopeful, trembling with anticipation, for Clara, his first love. He closed his eyes, and the scene unfurled vividly. The night air, crisp and cool, the scent of wildflowers from nearby fields, the sky a tapestry of shimmering stars. He remembered her bright smile, her wild dreams of traveling the world, and the way her eyes sparkled when she spoke of love that would stand the test of time. They had sat here side by side, whispering hopes and fears, believing everything was within reach. "We were so young," he whispered aloud, a bittersweet smile on his lips, dreaming of a future that felt like it belonged to us. The memory was tender yet painful, a reminder of dreams unfulfilled and choices made. The years had slipped away, 20, 30, more, but the bench remained, silent witness to youthful promises. He wondered with a faint ache what Clara would think now, if she knew he was returning after all these years. Would she remember? Care? Or had time worn away those memories, leaving only faint traces? He settled onto the bench, the wood creaking softly beneath him. Closing his eyes, he let the past wash over him, each detail vivid and alive. Clara, with her bright smile and wild dreams, he thought, hearing her voice in the quiet night. Their conversations had been filled with laughter, plans that once seemed so certain, traveling the world, building a life together, loving fiercely. "We thought it was ours for the taking," he mused, a faint smile lingering. Yet, decades later, he was a lone traveler on the last train home, carrying memories shimmering with joy and regret. He imagined her sitting beside him now, her eyes sparkling with excitement, just as they had all those years ago. "Do you remember our plans?" He whispered into the darkness, as if speaking across time. Her voice, light and melodic, echoed in his mind. "We'll see the world, Edmund. We'll never let anything hold us back." The memory was bittersweet, so vivid it felt almost tangible. A reminder of dreams unfulfilled, of paths not taken, of love left behind. The station's stillness amplified his thoughts, and he felt the profound power of recollection shaping his present. Every laugh, tear, secret, each had carved him into who he was today. Memories were not just echoes, they were threads woven into his identity. They held the power to anchor him, to remind him of who he was, even as miles and years stretched between then and now. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves, and he took a deep breath, feeling those memories settle softly within. Perhaps this journey, he thought, voice steady, is about returning to myself. Rising from the bench with a soft creak, he felt lighter, like a burden had lifted, replaced by renewed purpose. He cast one last glance at the familiar silhouette of the bench, then turned toward the approaching train. As the engine's whistle pierced the night, he knew the ghosts of his past had been acknowledged and honored. Stepping aboard, he carried the quiet strength of memories as a guiding light for the road ahead. As the carriage doors closed and the train pulled away, Edmund felt a subtle shift within, finally truly on his way home, not just to a place, but to the part of himself he had long left behind. Chapter 7. The Conductor's Words. The conductor moved down the aisle with a practiced, measured gait, his presence both commanding and gentle. The rhythmic clatter of the train's wheels beneath him set a steady tempo, like a heartbeat echoing through the carriage. As he approached Edmund's seat, the man's face, marked by quiet kindness and wisdom, seemed to soften, as if sensing the weight of the journey both outside and within. Edmund's heart fluttered with anticipation and unease, a familiar tension that never quite left him when faced with moments of reflection. When the conductor reached him, he paused briefly to meet Edmund's gaze, his eyes steady and knowing. Without haste, he checked the ticket in Edmund's hand and then locked eyes again. His voice was low, smooth, almost melodic, carrying a warmth that seemed to seep into the air around them. "You know," he said softly, "every road home is worth the walk, no matter how long." The words resonated deeply within Edmund's chest, stirring an ache wrapped in comfort. They reminded him of his mother's voice, the way she used to say those very words when he was a boy, as if she understood that life's journey was long and winding, but always worth the effort. The phrase sent a gentle chill down his spine, a shiver that made him feel nostalgic and vulnerable. It was as if the conductor's simple statement carried the weight of years of wisdom, paths taken and left behind, hopes deferred, memories cherished. Edmund's eyes flickered with emotion, gratitude, longing, a touch of sorrow. The words weren't just a passing comment. They felt like an echo of childhood, a fragment of reassurance that despite everything, the journey remained meaningful. The conductor lingered a moment longer, his face softening, as if understanding the silent story behind Edmund's gaze. Then, with a gentle nod, he moved on, leaving Edmund alone with the quiet hum of the train and the lingering warmth of those words. His words echoed softly in the carriage, drifting with the steady movement of the train. His calm, melodic voice carried like a gentle breeze, yet beneath it lay something deeper, an unspoken understanding that reached into Edmund's memories. "It's funny," the conductor mused, leaning slightly closer as he checked the ticket. "How the heart knows where it belongs, even when we forget." Those words felt like a whisper from a distant past, stirring something profound within Edmund. A lump formed in his throat, a mixture of nostalgia and vulnerability. He hadn't spoken of his mother in years, yet here was this stranger, speaking as if he knew her, as if he understood the quiet ache that never quite left him. The conductor's gaze was gentle and knowing, as if he saw through the layers of years and stories that cloaked Edmund. "Every road home," he continued softly, "is worth the walk, no matter how long it takes." Those words resonated with quiet strength, awakening memories of a small, weathered house on the edge of town, of warm Sunday mornings and the scent of bread baking. Edmund's eyes drifted to the window, where the landscape blurred into a tapestry of fading fields and distant hills. The conductor's voice seemed to seep into his thoughts, stirring feelings he had long buried. "Your journey," he added softly, "is not just about moving through space, but about facing what lies within." The phrase lingered, a weighty, reassuring promise. A shiver ran down his spine, as if those words had unlocked a door inside him. Memories flashed vividly, laughter around the kitchen table, quiet evenings filled with his mother's gentle voice, moments that felt both distant and painfully near. The warmth of those days contrasted sharply with the cold silence that had fallen in recent years. The conductor stepped back, leaving behind an impression of kindness and insight that felt almost mystical. His presence had transformed a simple act of ticket-checking into a silent conversation about longing, loss, and hope. As the train rumbled on, Edmund sat in silence, clutching the ticket and the weight of those words. They echoed in his mind, mingling with the scent of coal and rain filling the carriage. A reminder that this journey was more than a physical return. It was a passage through memory, a bridge between who he was and who he might become. The conductor stepped away from Edmund's seat, and a quiet stillness settled over the carriage. The rhythmic clatter of the wheels seemed to slow, as if the train was holding its breath. Edmund's gaze lingered on the conductor's retreating figure, feeling the weight of their brief exchange settle deep within him. The scent of coal smoke and damp earth still lingered, but beneath that, there was an intangible heaviness, a sense that this moment had left an imprint on his soul. He closed his eyes briefly, allowing the memory of his mother's voice to surface, warm, gentle, unwavering. "Every road home is worth the walk, no matter how long," the conductor had said, words echoing with strange familiarity and stirring a quiet ache in his chest. It was as if those words had been waiting in the shadows of his mind, just beyond reach, all these years. They called to mind long evenings in his mother's small kitchen, where she'd whisper similar truths while preparing tea or stitching a torn sleeve. A lump rose in his throat, a mixture of longing and gratitude. He never spoke of his mother to this stranger. How could he? Yet the conductor's words seemed to have plucked a chord from the depths of his memory, resonating with a truth he'd carried silently all his life. The train's gentle sway felt almost like a heartbeat, steady and reassuring, as if guiding him through the tangled corridors of his past. Leaning back against the leather seat, he closed his eyes again, letting the images flood in. Family gatherings around the fireplace, the laughter of siblings long gone, the warmth of a home now distant and near. Nostalgia pressed heavy on him, bittersweet and weighty, reminding him of dreams left behind and love lost to time. Yet, amid the ache, a flicker of hope persisted, a quiet reassurance that it's not too late to find his way back, to reconcile the memories with the man he has become. "What if I'm too late?" he whispered softly, almost to himself. The question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken fears. But then he recalled the conductor's parting words, that this journey wasn't just about reaching a place, but about facing what lies within. The road ahead might be uncertain, but he had already begun to walk it. With each passing mile, Edmund sensed a subtle shift, a gentle opening of his heart to the possibility of reconciliation and rediscovery of who he truly was beneath the layers of regret. He opened his eyes, gazing out at the darkening landscape slipping past, knowing this journey was more than a physical return. It was a voyage into the depths of his own soul, and the conductor's words had become a quiet beacon, reminding him that no matter how long the road, the way home is always worth the walk. Chapter 8. The Storyteller's Compartment. The carriage was dimly lit, a flickering lantern casting a gentle amber glow from the ceiling. Shadows danced lazily across worn leather seats and polished wood panels, creating a warm, intimate atmosphere. The rhythmic clatter of the train's wheels against the tracks formed a steady, reassuring beat, like a heartbeat, intertwined with muffled murmurs and occasional sighs of the other passengers. The air was thick with the scent of aged leather and faint smoky coal lingering from the engine below, evoking a sense of nostalgia and timelessness. As Edmund entered, he sensed an almost imperceptible shift in the atmosphere, an unspoken invitation to settle into this quiet sanctuary of stories and memories. His gaze settled on the figure at the front, an older man with a gentle demeanor whose presence seemed to anchor the space. The storyteller's face was lined with soft wrinkles, each whispering tales of years gone by, yet his eyes sparkled with youthful warmth. His voice was low, melodic, almost hypnotic, effortlessly drawing attention. It was as if the carriage itself had slowed, holding its breath, waiting for the stories to unfold. The silence was comfortable, filled with an unspoken understanding that here, stories would weave a tapestry connecting past and present, stranger and listener. Edmund found a seat nearby, settling into the worn leather and feeling the gentle sway of the train beneath him. The dim glow cast a golden hue over the storyteller's face as he began, his voice weaving tales that drifted from distant memories, yet felt intimately familiar. The carriage, with its cozy glow and rhythmic hum, became a vessel, a space where time softened and stories became bridges to lives once lived, echoing softly in the quiet of the night. The storyteller's voice flowed through the dim carriage, a gentle, melodic cadence settling into the air. His words carried quiet strength, resonating deeply with those who listened, including Edmund, who leaned closer, captivated. He began with a tale of childhood innocence, a boy who dreamed of reaching the stars. "There was once a boy," he whispered, "who spent his nights sketching constellations, believing he could one day touch them." His gaze seemed to peer into distant memories, yet his voice carried the weight of truths long held. As he narrated, the story unfolded like a tapestry, an adventure filled with shimmering nights, youthful hope, and quiet determination to chase impossible dreams. The boy's sketches of stars, nights lying on the grass, and secret hopes tucked into a weathered notebook all flickered through Edmund's mind. He saw himself as that boy, eyes wide with wonder, sketchbook in hand, believing the universe was within reach. The storyteller's words stirred memories of his own youthful ambitions, dreams under an endless sky, shared with friends, and the bittersweet realization that some dreams remain just beyond grasp. With each story, Edmund felt an invisible thread pulling him closer to the storyteller, as if their lives had been woven from the same fabric of experience. These tales weren't merely stories. They were echoes of his own past, reflections of choices made and paths taken. The storyteller's calm, steady voice carried the weight of shared understanding, making him feel less alone. The stories became a mirror, revealing that beneath individual lives lie common threads: hope, longing, regret, and resilience to keep dreaming. In that softly lit carriage, amid the rhythmic clatter of the train, Edmund slipped into a reverie where reality and memory blurred. Each story a gentle reminder of the interconnectedness of all lives, woven together by the enduring power of shared stories. His eyes grew heavy as the storyteller's voice drifted on, soft and melodic, like the train's hum. The dim glow cast long shadows across the worn wooden panels, flickering with each rhythmic clatter of the wheels. The air was thick with the scent of old leather, coal dust, and something else, faint, comforting, like memories waiting to be uncovered. Around him, other passengers drifted in and out of sleep, their breathing slow and steady, creating a cocoon of quiet intimacy. The storyteller, an older man with silver hair and kind eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 stories, leaned slightly forward, his voice lowering to a near whisper that felt almost sacred. "There was once a boy who dreamed of the stars," he began, his gaze distant yet piercing. He spent his nights sketching constellations, believing he could one day reach them. His words hung in the air like a gentle spell, drawing everyone closer, including Edmund. As the tale unfolded, Edmund was transported back to a time when he was no more than 10, sitting on a similar train headed for a summer in the countryside. He remembered the thrill of his first sketchpad, nights spent under a blanket with a flashlight, trying to capture the shimmering patterns of the sky. The storyteller's voice echoed that youthful wonder, filling the carriage with a sense of possibility and longing. Each story resonated deeply, moments of innocence, choices shaping futures, dreams either realized or quietly faded. The storyteller spoke of a girl who danced in the rain, a man who chose love over ambition, decisions that brought joy or sorrow. These tales, rich with emotion and detail, felt like echoes of Edmund's own life. Laughter with friends on summer nights, quiet hopes of reaching beyond, and the bittersweet realization that some dreams remain unfulfilled. It was as if their lives, separated by decades, were stitched together by the same invisible thread of human experience. The stories weren't just entertainment. They were a mirror, revealing truths about himself he hadn't fully acknowledged. In that moment, surrounded by the gentle rhythm of the train and the storyteller's voice, Edmund felt a profound connection, not just to the tales, but to the unbreakable thread that binds all of us in our journeys through life. Chapter 9. The Approach. The rhythmic hum of the train's wheels against the rails became a steady heartbeat in Edmund's ears, soothing yet stirring. As he pressed his forehead against the cool glass, he gazed outward at the passing scenery, rolling hills bathed in the soft glow of evening, shimmering rivers winding like ribbons of memory through the landscape. The familiar sight of the old oak tree, its gnarled branches reaching skyward, brought a faint smile to his lips. He remembered climbing its sturdy limbs as a boy, feeling invincible beneath its shade.
Nearby, the gentle curve of the river shimmered in the fading light, just as it had when he sat by its banks with his father, casting lines and dreaming of adventures beyond their small town.
A flicker of joy surged within him at these sights, places etched into his childhood. Yet alongside this warmth, a shadow of unease crept in. What if these memories no longer matched the reality awaiting him? Would the town have changed too much? Would the faces he longed to see still be the same, or had time worn them into strangers? His mother's words echoed softly in his mind. Every road home is worth the walk, no matter how long. He whispered the phrase to himself, trying to summon its comfort and steady his nerves. The promise of home, once a beacon in his youth, now felt like a fragile thread, delicate but persistent, pulling him forward through the gathering dusk. The train slowed as it approached the station, once a quiet, familiar haunt of his youth. Edmund's gaze remained fixed on the window, watching the landscape dissolve into a blur of memories and muted colors. His heart fluttered with anticipation and trepidation. He recalled standing on that very platform, clutching a girl's hand beneath the flickering glow of a gas lamp, sharing a stolen kiss with Alice on a warm summer evening. How fearless they had felt then. Now, that memory shimmered like a fragile shard of glass, sharp with longing and the ache of loss. Outside, the old oak tree still stood, its gnarled branches reaching skyward as if yearning to grasp the sky. It had witnessed countless childhood adventures, climbing, hiding, dreaming beneath its sprawling canopy. The winding river shimmered in the late afternoon light, just as it had when he learned to fish with his father, casting lines into its gentle current with patience and hope. These sights, so vivid in his mind, stirred a warm joy, a feeling that some part of him had never truly left this place. Yet beneath that joy, a shadow of fear lingered. What if the town had changed? What if the streets looked different, the faces unfamiliar, the stories no longer true? His mother's words echoed faintly. Every road home is worth the walk, no matter how long. He whispered it softly, seeking reassurance and to ground himself. The words offered both comfort and a quiet challenge, reminding him that the journey, uncertain as it was worth every step, every tear, every memory surfaced along the way. He pressed his forehead against the cool glass, eyes tracing the familiar contours of the landscape, trying to reconcile the boy who once ran freely through these fields with the man sitting quietly in this train. The moment felt suspended, a delicate balance between longing and fear, hope and regret. As the station neared, he took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his memories, dreams, and unspoken questions. He prepared himself for the moment when the past would meet the present once more. The train's rhythmic clatter echoed the pounding of Edmund's heart as he sat silently, eyes fixed on the window. Outside, the landscape shifted,
familiar, yet distant, like a faded photograph gradually coming into focus. Rolling hills stretched endlessly, their gentle curves evoking childhood days wandering through fields with his brother. A shimmering river wound through the valley, catching the late afternoon sun, just as it had when he learned to fish with his father beneath the old oak tree, which still stood proud and unwavering at the water's edge. A warm sensation blossomed within him at these scenes. His lips curled into a faint smile as memories flooded over him. Picnics on grassy banks, the scent of rain after a summer storm, his mother's laughter as they played hide-and-seek among the trees. Joy, pure and unfiltered, bubbled in his chest. Yes, this was home, he thought, feeling the ache of longing swell inside him. Yet beneath that joy lurked doubt. What if these memories, so vivid and alive in his mind, didn't match the reality awaiting him? What if the town had changed beyond recognition, or worse? What if he had changed so much that he no longer belonged? His mother's words echoed again. Every road home is worth the walk, no matter how long. He repeated them softly, seeking reassurance that even if things had shifted, the essence of home remained. He pressed his forehead against the cool glass, watching the landscape unfold like a story he'd read 1,000 times. Each sight pulled him closer to the past, to the boy he once was. Yet with every mile, a quiet apprehension grew. What awaited him at the journey's end? Would he find the home he remembered, or merely a ghost of it? The questions lingered, heavy but necessary, as the train carried him deeper into memories and the uncertain promise of reconciliation. Chapter 10. The Last Train Home. The train's gentle screech as it stopped jolted Edmund from his reverie. He peered out the window, heart pounding with anticipation and disbelief. The station before him had transformed from the dilapidated, forgotten place he remembered into something warm and inviting. Lanterns hung along the platform, casting a golden glow over the cobblestones, while a gentle hum of life filled the air. Families with children, couples strolling arm in arm, and the faint aroma of freshly baked bread drifting from a nearby bakery. He blinked, struggling to grasp the scene before him. "Is this truly home?" he whispered, a smile breaking through years of solitude and doubt. It felt like a dream, an illusion woven from memory and longing. Yet here it was, tangible and real. His breath fogged the glass as he looked out, searching the faces that might belong to old friends or neighbors he hadn't seen in decades. As the train's doors hissed open, Edmund hesitated only a moment before stepping onto the platform. The wooden planks creaked beneath his cautious steps, familiar yet strange after so many years away. The air was thick with the scent of rain on stone and the delicate, soothing trace of lavender, his mother's signature scent, lingering in the breeze. It was as if the atmosphere was welcoming him back, whispering that he belonged here, that this place still held a piece of his soul. He squinted into the gathering crowd, heart pounding with hope and trepidation. Then, there it was. A familiar figure pushing through the crowd, her silver hair catching the fading light like moonbeams. "Edmund!" she called out, her voice warm and unmistakably hers. Mrs. Thompson, his childhood neighbor, her face radiant with joy, arms open wide. "It's been ages, you haven't changed a bit!" Without hesitation, she pulled him into a tight embrace, dissolving the years of distance. Edmund chuckled softly,
feeling a warmth he hadn't realized he'd been missing. "Perhaps the years have been kinder to you," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. As he moved further into the station, more familiar faces appeared. Tom and Sarah, old friends from childhood, their laughter ringing clear and bright. "Remember that summer we spent building forts in the woods?" Tom asked, eyes twinkling with mischief. "I thought we'd never grow up," Sarah added, her smile tender and nostalgic. Their words and laughter intertwined, weaving a tapestry of shared history that felt both distant and immediate, like no time had passed at all. A surge of gratitude filled Edmund, a sense that despite the years and miles, these bonds remained unbroken. The station, once a symbol of departure and loss, now stood as a testament to resilience and renewal. In this moment, he understood this was where he belonged. This was home. Familiar faces emerged like ghosts from the shadows of memory. Among them, Mrs. Thompson stepped forward with a smile that seemed to catch the station's warm glow. Her silver hair shimmered softly, her eyes sparkling with the kindness he remembered. "Edmund," she called, her voice bright and genuine. "It's been ages! You haven't changed a bit!" A surge of emotion welled up as she drew him into a gentle embrace, an embrace that spoke of shared moments and unspoken understanding. "Perhaps the years have been kinder to you," he managed, a smile breaking through the solitude that had settled over him. Her simple greeting was like a balm, soothing the ache of missed moments. Moving through the crowd, familiar voices called his name, Tom and Sarah, old friends from his youth. Their laughter rang out, echoing through the station like a melody from a happier time. "Remember that summer we spent building forts in the woods?" Tom asked, his eyes twinkling. "I thought we'd never grow up," Sarah added softly, her smile tinged with nostalgia. Memories of picnics by the river, nights chasing fireflies, and days of innocence flooded back. Edmund felt a warmth so deep it threatened tears. These faces, these voices, despite the years, remained as familiar as ever, unaltered at their core. They wove a tapestry of connection that defied time's relentless march. The station, once merely a place of departure, now felt like a sanctuary of reunion. Amidst laughter and shared stories, he realized some bonds remain unbroken, resilient against the erosion of years. Surrounded by familiar faces, Edmund knew he was truly home. His gaze fixed on a figure standing a few yards away. Michael, his brother. His breath caught. Michael stood as if no time had passed, though age lines marked his face and streaks of silver shimmered in his hair. Their eyes met across the distance, and for a moment the world seemed to hold its breath. The unspoken weight of years pressed heavily between them, filled with memories and regret. Edmund hesitated a second before stepping forward, each step heavy with anticipation. "Michael," he whispered, voice trembling, reaching out a trembling hand. His brother's eyes shimmered with emotion. "I didn't expect to see you," Michael said softly, his voice thick with surprise and longing. "Neither did I," Edmund replied, voice barely above a whisper. Silence stretched between them until Michael stepped closer, and they embraced, tentative at first, then with warmth that spoke of long overdue reconciliation. Arms wrapped around each other, the years of distance melting away in that quiet, profound moment. "I've missed you," Michael admitted,
voice trembling as he pulled back slightly, eyes searching Edmund's face. So much. Edmund nodded, overwhelmed with emotion. Me too. We have a lot to catch up on. They settled onto a nearby bench, its worn wood smooth from time and countless conversations. As they talked, their words flowed easily, memories of childhood playing in the fields, laughter echoing through their family home. They reminisced about their parents, warm days, and a love that never truly faded, even through silence. In that shared space, amid the evening's gentle hum and the golden glow of sunset, Edmund felt a deep sense of belonging. This was more than a reunion. It was a rediscovery of roots, a reaffirmation that despite the years lost, family bonds remained unbreakable. He looked around at the gathering crowd, neighbors, old friends, family, each seemingly waiting, watching, as if they had known all along that this moment would come. A quiet smile touched his lips, and with a peaceful heart he whispered, "I am home." In that instant, he understood that this journey, the long, winding road back, had led him not only to a place, but to a place within himself. And in that place, he found a serenity he had been seeking all along. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. If you enjoyed the episode, drop a comment and let us know your thoughts. And if you have a minute, we'd really appreciate an honest rating for the show. Plus, sharing it with a friend goes a long way. Your feedback not only helps us get better, but also makes it easier for new listeners to find what we're building together. Until we meet again on the next episode, wishing you a restful night and the sweetest of dreams.